Hello and welcome back to HEMA Fight Breakdowns. Today I had the pleasure of going to Cincinnati, Ohio into Queen City Sword Guild and the newly opened Hawk's Gym, which is right next door, and talking to its owner, Ben Hawk, about some exercises and lifts that we all can be doing in order to get better at HEMA.
So the first exercise I want to hit is the landmine snatch press. Okay, it's a pretty simple exercise, but what it really does is it really teaches you to kind of open up your body, get muscle groups working together, and similar actions to what you will be doing in a HEMA situation. So you're going to need a landmine bar, basically just a bar. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of weight, but if you can get a bar, lean it up against a wall with a towel, whatever, it works fine for these. I'm sure a lot of people have seen these before. So
yeah, I've done this myself.
We're going to go ahead and I'm going to show how we do the exercise without the bar, and then we're going to go ahead and do it with the bar. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get in a stance that we use in HEMA. So whether that's for longsword, saber, messer, whatever it is. You're going to start by you are going to take your elbow and you are going to meet it to that bony protrusion just above your hip. So kind of like if you're wearing a backpack, where you would put your backpack.
It's all bony protrusions here.
The actual bone, though.
Yeah, the actual bone.
The actual bone. You want to go to the actual bone, and you're going to raise your other hand up. Okay? What you do this exercise, you're going to take a passing step forward, and you are going to switch the position of your arm.
Oh, so you step with it. You just don't do punches?
Yeah, this is a good boxing one, of course, but yeah, I kind of add a little HEMA by adding the footwork to it because of how important is the footwork, and at the end of the day, we're always combining our footwork with our
You're not
strikes.
scared of like adding leg drive to it and kind of taking out most of the weight of the exercise?
At the end of the day, I'm training for HEMA, right? So whenever I make this motion, I'm probably going to be incorporating my legs in some way. So this is kind of adding to that more of that balance and stability, which you'll probably hear me say a lot.
All right. You want to do it first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Give her a couple of reps. So reaching up, finding that bony protrusion, swapping position.
Okay. And I assume you switch legs and sides when you do the other one.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
Give her a shot.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll recommend is putting that arm up, because what it does is when you switch that position, it's really training you to find those landmarks when you're making a movement. So if you really want to engage your core when you are making the movement outside of just this exercise, learning the landmarks of your body where you're actually getting to that point where you fully engage that muscle.
Right. And how many do you usually want people to do with these?
I'm generally a big fan of higher reps, especially for HEMA kind of stuff. We're not really trying to bulk. We're not trying to get super strong. But we're trying to find...
Why not?
We're not always trying to get super strong. Getting super strong can slow you down a little bit, actually. But I'm a big fan of 10 to 15 reps.
Okay. So I've done about like 6. What do you feel about like getting a little spring in that back leg?
I think it's great. If it's a muscle you're using in that action, so you're taking a passing step into a high cron. Kind of think of it in that kind of principle. So if you're making that passing step into the high cron, yeah, you're going to have that push with the leg.
Oh, I forgot the aimer.
Make sure you're getting those landmarks.
All right.
To be honest, the things I focus for most in HEMA lifting tends to lean towards endurance and speed, more so than putting up bigger numbers or hypertrophy.
Makes sense. All right. Don't really try to think about where I'm feeling it. Mostly I feel like I'm just feeling it in my leg.
Really?
Yeah. Because if I was doing just like regular landmine punches, I'd be doing pretty much the same thing. You know, there's still a pretty large amount of leg drive. Plus I could get a little bit more of a burst of speed out of really planting my back leg and rotating appropriately.
I think that's totally valid.
The step, I feel like it's just putting a lot of weird resistance on this section from where my arm is half extended and my leg is in the air. And I just have to kind of like fall into it.
See, when I do this exercise, where I get most of it is in the core and focusing on that rotation, getting that good rotation with the step. Wow. So even getting that rotation with the step and focusing on engaging my core muscles. So that's really what I'm focusing on in this exercise. If I'm talking about, what in my body am I like, okay, activate. I tend to think of this more along the lines of the core, because the core is connecting that leg action to that arm action.
Oh, sure.
And I've done several supersets of these here recently, and I generally only get it in my shoulders and core. Maybe a little bit of bicep, but I never feel it in my leg. But again, everybody's built different and have different, strengths and weaknesses. So I've got calves like a 17-pound cannon. Yeah,
I don't. All right. Want to move on next?
Yeah, we'll move on to the next. So next up, we're going to look up at some more stability-focused exercises. You're still going to get muscle out of it, but this is going to help build those brain-to-muscle connections that, you get an input, you can react to that input quickly.
Sure.
That's a big part of fencing, at least as I see it.
Right.
So this right here is called a Bosu surge, more colloquially known as the slosh bar. You can make one out of stuff from the hardware store for I think I made one the other day for $15.
Yeah, it looks like it's like 3 compartments where the water takes a while to fill between one and the other. You can't just tilt it and have it pour to one side.
Yeah. Did you ever play with those? Did you ever tape 2-liter bottles together when you were a kid and make?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that same
tornado
idea.
crap.
Yeah. So there's a lot of exercises and modalities I like to do with this one. So one, it's going to be just throwing it on your back. This is a good place to have it for a lot of different things. Everything from doing squats with this, just to kind of really focus on getting that feedback, going through, understanding, what do my muscles need to do to this input, right?
Right.
Squats is a great one from here. Running lunges, also great.
Sure. Same basic idea.
Especially walking lunges, because as you're moving forward, it's kind of getting that to shift. So, the way I like to think of it is you move forward in an attack and your opponent attacks from a certain direction. All of a sudden, in that extended footwork, there's a time where you are getting pressure from an outside direction that you're not maybe necessarily ready for,
Right.
or it's just not a static environment. So,
Sure.
building up that stability and that reaction there.
Okay.
Started talking about it more in the arms and the legs, or in the legs and in the core. I call these knock-knocks because it's a lot like using a battering ram on a door.
Right.
So, going forward, passing step, pushing side, coming back, getting used to that transition of where the weight is.
Okay. All right. So as a question then, why do I need stability in my arms? The legs I get to an extent. The ability to kind of stabilize yourself when shit's putting weird impulses on maybe your legs and your hips, I get. But in the arms, this is a lot of weight for having really random impulses that I don't know if I would really even want that kind of stability. Where's the stability coming from? The tendons around my elbow? There's really nothing here that's necessarily going to, which muscles is this literally specifically targeted?
So
besides, the curl aspect.
So it's kind of working on that antagonist-protagonist muscle group. Mm-hmm. So when you do an exercise, there's an antagonist and a protagonist.
I'll do some.
Yeah. So, say for example, I'm going to do a bicep curl. That was the example you were using. Mm-hmm. The protagonist is the bicep in that. That is the muscle doing most of the work.
Right.
The antagonist is going to be the tricep, so the muscle that is going in the opposite direction.
Well, it's not really doing anything because it's not doing anything.
It's having to. So when the bicep contracts,
right,
the tricep has to extend. So it is doing something. It's not necessarily putting in any work.
Right.
So having that uneven pressure against the bicep, that uneven work against the bicep, will strengthen the connection of, hey, what am I doing? What do I need to be doing in this situation, specifically for that bicep-tricep situation? So anything you're doing here with this bar, this water-laden barrel, more or less, that's kind of tying together those relationships between those muscles. So say, for example, you end up in a situation where you're in long point.
Yeah.
Someone puts pressure into your blade. The faster you can get those muscles to fire in conjunction smoothly and effectively, the more pressure, the more resistance, the more you can apply against that feeling in the bind. So, more or less being stronger in the bind without necessarily thinking about where the placement is on the sword. That still matters, but that can give you a little bit of wiggle room.
So the other thing I'm noticing here is that when this is on my back, I thought it would be like more on there. I feel like I'm just stabilizing this with my arms. I don't feel like I can, so like pretty much no matter what I do with my hips or lower body, I can't really get this to restabilize. Like if it's all the way over here, like what am I going to walk underneath of it? No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with my arms.
So you see how it's like kind of sitting in the center of your back?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not really sitting up on your shoulder. Drive it into your back.
So lower?
Pull it into your back so you don't have that wiggle room with your arms, and it will become more core.
Right. I'm still... okay. So I try to really make that connection. Yeah. I just actively pull down with my arms. Well, now it's not sloshing anymore.
Here, I'll help you.
Yeah. Let's give it a side. Yeah, okay.
Now, this is also...
This is a little too late. But
yeah. It's also a little light for you, in all reality. Add more weight, that may change, because this is a light enough bar.
Now, how much weight can you add to this?
This one specifically says it can go up to 40 pounds, having put it on the scale, because you don't want to fill it up all the way or else you lose
You can't slosh,
You can't slosh. I've gotten enough to be an okay, around 60.
Okay.
So it's 8 pounds, give or take, for a gallon of water. So.
And you fill it by adding more water. You don't just like put weights on the sides.
Correct. You just add more water.
Okay.
And then that slug, then as you add the weight, becomes more aggressive because all of a sudden it's that much more weight going against the end as opposed to just all being over there.
Okay.
So that's one thing for it. But yeah, and I talk about pushing that on your back and things like that. I'm a big proponent of focusing on the muscles that you are wanting to activate in the exercise.
No, me too, for sure.
So, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you're really focusing on, hey, I need to be adjusting this with my core, you can kind of say, hey, shut up, arms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah. Next thing I want to hit is grip strength. Grip strength is super important for HEMA for a lot of different reasons. One, where do we generate a lot of power for our cuts? In the squeezing of the hand.
No, I'm really big on grip strength myself. For a long time, I had a problem where, especially at like the end of the tournament, my right forearm would start to gas out, and I'd start to lose that ability to get like fine motor control. So I started doing a lot of grip strength exercises myself.
Okay, cool. So I got a couple different ways we can do some grip strength around here. Work them into our regular workouts. Easy ways to get into things. So something like a loading pin, like we have right here in front of us.
Yep.
If you have they make them for 1-inch weights. They make them for the 2-inch Olympics. If you already got weights, it's
much easier.
A $30 investment to get into it, and it's great. And you can do whatever weight you have.
Plus, you can use all your pull-down attachments in the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, I have a grip attachment that you would just use for a cable fly. And you just start by whatever part of the grip you want to focus on. So if I'm focusing on my fingers are down. If I'm focusing on just how much can I get up and hold it.
Yeah, you want to supinate.
I want to supinate my hand and just lifting with my legs, almost like a deadlift.
Right.
So just holding it right there, going for a deadlift. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Give her a couple there. We'll talk about a couple of the other ones.
Right. And do you ever do like just straight up supinated curls?
Oh yeah, all the time. I don't necessarily always do them with the loading pin just because it tends to bang the crap out of my knee.
That's true.
If I try and get a good full extension and depth. We'll cover curls here in a second, so I'll show you that.
Yeah, I just figured it was because one of the great things about having a grip like this is the ability to roll.
Oh, yeah.
You can get that really nice.
Honestly, if you don't want to invest in dumbbells or anything like that, this is a great way to go. Yeah, we're filming a video right here, man.
All good.
So, yeah, if
You're fine.
So if you don't want to get into investing in dumbbells, yeah, this is a great option. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I would love this.
Yeah.
This is great because I just have the shitty little grippers and they don't go up to any reasonable amount.
Yeah.
So you basically just spend there like for 30 minutes gripping this stupid thing over and over again until you get something that could be called a pump. Whereas right now, I got what I would call a pretty nice beginning set out of just like 12 of these on each hand. This shit I love.
Loading pin. I will say, cast iron plates do a lot better on this than bumpers.
Oh, for
just
sure.
because bumpers are so wide.
Yeah.
But you beggars and choosers, right?
Yeah, no, with that, 3 sets of that, I'm already getting some vein party
Yeah,
action.
you're doing great.
These I will probably be getting one of these because, that cheap, effective, you can load the weight, you can deload the weight, saves you a ton of time. Love it.
So taking up the next level in difficulty here when it comes to strength is we have what's called a clock attachment.
Yeah,
Which is kind of like the pendulum on a clock. It's kind of the same thing. Also, I do like this one, especially for HEMA, because you can hold this in a sword grip.
Right.
So if you're a handshake person, if you're a thumb grip kind of person, you can somewhat simulate that and do the same kind of lifts. Also, because you don't have something actually digging into your hand, this is about how hard can I pinch it.
Right.
So you will feel this up into your forearm pretty well.
Right. I think the other cool thing about this too is, again, because of the sword-related grip, you're really gripping with these front 3. I try to peel my hand back.
Yeah.
These 3, and then these 2 are just there to kind of like support a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you can't get it up like this probably won't help you too much, but you can't like let go of those dominant 3. And what that really tells you is that like when you're doing sword stuff, that's where like these specific tendons that run up there.
Oh, yeah.
I guess they're not tendons, but whatever. Those are the ones that really take the beating.
My wife and a friend of ours who does HEMA's wife always makes the joke that they love it when we wear flannels, roll up the sleeves and cross our arms, just because that muscle really gets built up.
The forearm pump where you kind of like you push out your bicep with your left hand.
Yeah,
that's the good stuff.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah, so I guess actually at the end of the day, like doing deadlifts doesn't matter so much. I would probably like to do this as like more of an endurance thing, just kind of hold it.
For sure, definitely.
30 seconds as a set, up the weight, do the other hand, 30 seconds. Because I can feel it. It's really pushing into these 3 and the meat of my thumb. And that one, that's what it feels like when you're starting to lose your grip in a sword fight.
Oh, yeah.
This one's great.
Yeah, endurance, doing the reps, whatever. It's great. I like it. I think it's a great way to, for once again, a relatively low price.
Yeah.
Adding
Cheap,
a whole nother.
You should already have weights for the most part. Even if it comes down to it, they sometimes make the little things where you can like attach a dumbbell to like a weird sling system.
Yeah, honestly, you could probably get some, baling twine out of the back shed and figure something out yourself. But
for sure,
there's always cheaper ways to do things.
No, I'm starting to lose my grip a little bit there. Nice. Obviously, my left arm's not nearly up to snuff on my right because longsword is still a very right arm dominant, or I'm right arm dominant. So yeah,
it happens to the best of us. So we're going to take it up one more difficulty notch.
Nice.
So this is a cannonball. So the way I like to work this is just really focusing more on my ability to clamp my fingers tight. Definitely recommend chalk with this one a lot of times, just because it's going to help. But really, my ability to how hard can I close my fingers. So what I want to do when I'm doing this exercise is, and again, just like the last one, you can do sets with it. You can just go for endurance, but you want to be pinching the ball without getting underneath it. So 25 pounds is actually pretty hard to do on this one.
Yeah, without getting under it, that's something. And you're going to feel that.
That's about all I can get.
Tips of your fingies. I don't know if I'm going to get this one up because the instinct to just lower it that quarter inch, you really got to fight it. I feel like also, I don't know if it's cheating, but like I'm wrapping my pinky just to try to get some traction over there because this guy's not going to do anything like that. But I don't think I'm going to be able to get this up.
It's a difficult one.
Nope. Yeah, I just got to go down a little bit, then I can get it, no problem.
Just so the audience knows, he's the one who said, hey, let's add more weight to this.
No. Hey, I also said that the pinchy one, fuck that. I don't like pinchies. So it definitely is its own thing. For like rock climbing, when I used to do that a little bit, that's where you feel it, that first knuckle. I definitely don't feel it during sword fighting most of the time. But I think another thing that you could do is for endurance, up the weight. And this is another one where you can do these weird little supinations because
for sure
the rounded angle means that you're putting all the weight right between your dominant 2 fingers, or front 2 fingers.
Yeah.
And you're just going to do little curls. And even though it's the same weight as the roller from earlier, it is significantly harder to do this way.
You have less leverage. You don't have... As you're making that rotation, too, you're having to pull the weight out.
Yeah.
Because it's not spinning on that bearing. This is going to be a slightly more expensive one just to buy these because that is an expensive casting or machining job.
Yeah, nobody makes weird iron balls anymore.
Yeah, so that one's going to cost you a little bit more, but again, not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, next grip exercise. Have you ever heard of blobs, JW?
Probably.
So, all you need for this is your common, everyday, run-of-the-mill dumbbell.
Right.
All right, I'm going to grab a table real quick that we can use for this.
Sure. Just don't make it too high.
It'll be plenty fun.
You got quite the angle here.
I'll bring it back here so we can still see.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? So, if you just have access to dumbbells, you don't have access to free weights or the plates or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a dumbbell, you can still work grip. All right? And in that, you can do what's called a blob grab, where you put the dumbbell on its end.
Kind of like pinch grip it.
And you pinch grip the dumbbell, pick it up,
Put it on something.
put it on something.
Yeah.
That's a 20. So that's a relatively middle of the road one to do.
Yeah, this is about what I'd curl most of the time, maybe 20 or 25. So like that's going to gas me out pretty quick. I can already feel my grip going a little bit.
And another interesting thing is as you go up in weight, the orb itself, the blob that you're grabbing, gets even bigger. So 30, I'm going to probably have trouble with a 30.
Yeah, I don't know if my hands are big enough for this. But yeah.
I don't know if mine are either, but we'll find out. Let's see. We're here flexing on stuff.
Get the pinky friction.
I'm trying.
No,
It's just too big.
yeah, I doubt I'm going to make this, especially with my arms the way they are right now. Okay, hold on. Pinky friction, save me. Nope.
That 30 is just a bit much.
Yeah, no, it's too wide.
But for what you got at home, another great way that you can add grip strength, focused exercises.
You can even do it with like standard plates. Pinch stripping a 45 and just doing some reverse curls.
Honestly, 45s, I'm going to be impressed with anybody doing a 45, but
Well, not very many times.
even holding a 45 sometimes because of how fat they get, especially on
They do get
on a bumper. But just this, holding that plate like that,
Well, especially now, my
your
forearms
hands are
ain't
starting to
doing so
get
good
gas.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
No, this is another great one. And then the last one I want to show you. Another way, if you're the kind of person that likes to kind of get multiple muscle groups in at once, is to add axle bars.
Yeah.
So what an axle bar is basically, there we go. It's basically a 2-inch around bar.
Right.
So what it's going to do is
You can't quite get your fingers to touch.
what this is going to do is if you're trying to do bicep curls, right? Mm-hmm. You're hitting your biceps, you're hitting your triceps, you can do skull crushers with it. But this is also going to get a crazy pump in your hands and your forearms as well, because that starts adding that into the whole exercise.
This is probably what I'd do. I'm all about like saving a little bit of time on this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to do two at once, especially again, like if you're doing good controlled curls, adding that little supination. I guess you'd actually probably want to do it at the bottom, but yeah.
Yeah, here, give it a try.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Also, do you think no thumb or thumb?
I like thumb.
Oh yeah.
That's your normal curl weight too. That's
Well, one arm at a time plus the bar, yeah.
Well, the bar only weighs about 10 pounds. Also, you can pick up one of these axle bars for about $70 from a lot of suppliers. So if you're actually wanting to buy a bar, it's a pretty cheap way into bars.
Oh, boy.
He's doing great, guys. He's doing great.
No, that's too much curl strength for me. I got weak little biceps, and just that amount of the grip pump that I already got going. You could probably tell it halfway up. I felt my hands starting to peel out.
Yeah,
Wasn't feeling so good.
If you're looking to add grip strength and forearm strength to any general exercise that involves a bar, axle bars is a great way to go. And honestly, if you're just getting into lifting bars and you're doing it for sport or whatever, you're not looking to do any like competitive lifting, I think that's a pretty good place to get started. It's very inexpensive, and you can hit a lot of different things with it.
Yeah. No, I would definitely add this as a supplementary, especially because everyone's already doing rows, everyone's already doing curls. Adding this little bit of grip stuff, especially when, like I have to do switch grip on deadlift. You're already kind of lacking in the one major grip focused exercise. That's a compound.
And that'll get you past it.
Yeah.
That'll get you past that switch grip too.
I don't want to get past switch grip. I want to lift heavy.
Well, I guess there's one way to do it.
Yeah. All right. So now I want to do the stuff that I like to do. The meat the meat of the workout. And for me, what I really like focusing on is power generation. Because from this, what I can tell is that back in like 2 years ago, I had to stop fencing. I don't have a school. I haven't practiced really in any formal environment in probably like 2 years. All I've done in my basement is zone 2 cardio and power. And it has helped me immensely in 2 particular ways. One, I used to have a twinge in my knee every single time I lunged too deep. Power squats eliminated.
I would agree with that.
The other
That's
one
a great
I had
choice.
was that my lower back was one of the big things that would hurt on me every single time I did a big tournament.
Deadlifts
Power
fix that?
generation has completely fixed it. Because let's be honest, I am not strong. I don't need a belt. I don't need chalk. I am not lifting high enough weights for anyone to really care. So what I do is I just
315 is respectable. Don't sell yourself short.
whatever. I'm a bean pole, okay? I'm built to deadlift. It's fine. I'm not built to bench. That's why I'm so bad at it. But the point is that power, I have seen the best returns on. Not because I needed to build muscle. And I think that's one of the real differences that I've been finding with my particular like power-centric workouts. Because I'm not going to like failure 3-4 times on lower weights, like a standard hypertrophy workout, I'm not really getting bigger. I'm not getting bulkier. My muscles aren't really growing. But I'm getting significantly better returns on my power efficiency. So something I've been doing over the last 3 months, I lost like 20 pounds in 3 months, 3 months in like 2 weeks. And when I did, I tried to make sure that I kept my lifts the same. I did not go up on anything. My 405 deadlift, actually probably not even 405 anymore. But 315 squat, maybe I could pull off. 200 bench, maybe. But the point is that I kept trying to do the same 80% top set and then a little bit of like 70, 65% working sets. And in that kind of split, I have found that my power has stayed the same while I've been losing weight, which has been immensely beneficial for my ability to like generate power from small little areas. It kept my footwork in tempo. It kept my arms moving quickly. And honestly, plus with the zone 2 cardio, I'm not getting tired of tournaments anymore. And the fact that I'm not getting tired of tournaments anymore without having practiced sword fighting at all tells me at least something I'm doing is right.
Oh, yeah.
It might just be the cardio, but this is really fun.
Yeah.
So this is normally...
You should be having fun when you're working out.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is that, like, if you feel safe doing it, and I really don't see any reason why, if you're not ego lifting, you can't feel safe, because it's you. You know, like, you don't ever have to find your 100%. I still don't. I've only done it once 6 months ago, and it went up pretty okay, so it probably wasn't my 100% anyway. But now I just do working sets at 80%. This is 315. Technically, I should be doing it at 340 or 325. But like switch grip 315 doesn't bother me so much. Four is a good working set.
Oh, yeah.
With 325, I'd maybe struggle a little bit more on that fourth one. But like right there, I get done with that. I sit on my ass for 5 minutes. I take a break. I wait for my heart rate to go back down. I do 3 more or 2 more sets of that. I got a nice back pump. I don't do it again for the rest of the week. It works great. And my numbers keep going up.
I certainly agree with you on this. Whenever I'm putting together a workout for people, or specifically HEMA people as well, I'm always looking to add a few power lifts into each workout, whether it's squats, deadlifts, bench press, or variations on those. You know, getting close.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
I hate
in the
bench
power.
press too. I don't think it has very much athletic crossover. It's just one of those convenient things that you can load up and do.
Oh, yeah.
But I really don't care about that one. Squat, deadlift, though, they're useful.
I'm a big fan of cleans and snatches, too, so if we're adding a little bit of that Olympic into there, I think those are also excellent things to hit. They take a little bit more coordination, a little bit more practice. I think they're definitely worth having as well.
Well, snatch in particular, like, that's where we start to get into real technical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of technique, especially that goes into Olympic lifts. But if you're talking, like, I agree, power cleans are great. They don't require any more room than a squat.
No.
They're just going to have lower reps. If you want to turn it into like a little bit of a HIIT workout, doing like a set of 5, 6 power cleans at whatever weight you can do it at in a row, that's going to really jump your heart rate. It's going to help with pretty much your entire lower body. And if you're doing it right, it's not involving your upper body at all.
Also, you say 4. I tend to lean closer to 5 or 7 in a set.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the difference is going to be
whatever.
minimal. I like to focus endurance maybe just a hair bit more when it comes to muscular endurance. But yeah, at the end of the day, same results. I think you're onto something with this. I think you're definitely right.
Yeah. Well, and to that, I've never found that the endurance ever really changed. So like muscular endurance is one of those things where I think that, yeah, that's really super valuable. But at the same time, and specifically with HEMA, there's really not any area where I feel like my muscular endurance is ever lacking. It's my cardio endurance for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But like fencing is all about fighting for about 10 to 15 seconds and then taking 5 to 10 seconds of a break in between every single exchange. And then at the end of your fight, you sit down, you wait another 10 to 20 minutes for your next fight. I never found that like there was really that much of an endurance focused thing until I started doing armored training. At which point, that was when I completely switched some of my workouts. Again, power is still important because
For sure.
I'm adding 60 pounds to my body. But I found that like certain muscle groups that I was never having to care about before were starting to burn like hell whenever I put on my armor, specifically calves and shoulders. So what I would usually do after like the big power lift top set and then maybe like a back off set is I just do a bunch of like supplementary bodybuilding exercises. You know, Arnold presses, some kind of shoulder thing.
Yeah.
And usually like calf raises or something with that.
The ubiquitous preacher curl.
Yeah, the preacher curl. I hate it, but I do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's important to get all of these things in there. And I think that I'm definitely going to add some of these supplementary things. I still am not like completely sold on the slosh bar idea.
That's fine.
Mostly because I feel like the idea of like bracing yourself for extra input is something better given to actual sword training.
I would agree with that.
Like at the end of the day, the specific kind of modalities you're going to run into when you're sword fighting,
You're going to find in sword
yeah,
fighting.
you're never really going to be able to replicate.
No.
So like if you were talking about somebody who wants to rehab something, that shit seems really cool. But I'm obviously not looking to rehab, but more importantly, I'm looking for like the most efficient kind of workouts that I can do, because the reality is that especially once you start getting into like real athletic workouts, you start running out of hours in the day.
Oh, I agree.
Like I try to bike for an hour a day and then do some kind of lifting based workout for an hour and a half. Right then, along with a full-time job, there's basically nothing left but eating.
No.
So the
A little bit
idea
of sleeping here and there.
yeah, so like every exercise that I add, as cool or as functional as it might be, I have to be really, really careful about my time efficiency.
No, and I think that's great. And I want people to watch this and keep in mind that what's perfect for JW may not be perfect for all of us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people, especially in HEMA, who are like just naturally much bigger and stronger than I'll ever be. You probably don't need power as much as I do. But I
probably
do.
not. You may actually need the endurance more.
Maybe.
So somebody built like me, I'm a lot of upper body.
Right.
I have lower body too, but naturally, genetically, I'm going to be prone to developing upper body muscle.
Mhm.
So when it comes to muscular endurance, just being in a good stance
Yeah.
can wear me out pretty quick because I got skinny little legs
Right.
and then a big old top.
Right,
So think about where you need the strength,
Mhm.
and then look online. There's a lot of great resources. Feel free to ask anybody or ask in the comments even,
Nah.
Okay, whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to get you engagement.
I don't like it. They write me paragraphs every time.
I've done it. Actually, I try to keep it short for you. But so basically, find out what's going to be best for you. Are you feeling tired? Are you not generating enough power? Do you want to be faster?
Yeah.
There's different ways to get all of these things.
Yeah, I'm a really big believer in like when you're done sword practice, think about which parts of you hurt. They probably need work.
That's a great thing to point out.
Yeah,
I would
and
agree.
a lot of people will try to sometimes sell you on some like extra stuff. And like, again, you have to make 100% sure that you're not doing powerlifting or bodybuilding if like that's not your goal. But my goal was power. So like I try to focus on it. But at the end of the day, if I want to try to get better at sword fighting, really all I'm doing is I'm filling time for when I can't go to class, which I don't.
I guess that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
And we were talking about different goals, and you don't find the slosh bar as valuable.
Yeah.
Whereas I find it pretty valuable. But at the end of the day, my goal for lifting with HEMA is joint health.
Okay. Well, I certainly got that out of what I was doing, but I definitely found that like just loading that much weight on your body and doing anything with it.
Where's that med box at?
It is in the arsenal, and it's going to be a big orange bag, and it's going to say medical on it.
Big red cross on it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one, baby.
Okay, he was asking about medical stuff.
No,
I'm
it's
not
fine. It's fine.
concerned about that.
Somebody's hurt over there.
What?
Somebody got hurt, obviously.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, anyway, so the point here is that like I'm trying to figure out what exercises benefit the outside version of HEMA, where the assumption is that you can't just go to class.
Yeah.
And in that, you have to make sure that you're coming up with goals that are really going to help you specifically, but also make sure that you understand how to set an actual goal. Because there's a lot of people who will simply see big weight and go, that's a really easy and simple goal. And it is. But if it's not going to get you what you want, you have to make sure to know how to pivot to something else.
I agree.
So like, again, my issue with my knee and my shoulders being a little bit too weak, it fixed it just by loading a ton of weight. Because the second I got my body used to just having that much weight, clearly I didn't have a cartilage problem. Otherwise, that would not have gotten better. But what I probably had was like stabilizer tendon problems.
Muscle imbalance.
Or muscle imbalance. And just the fact of putting a ton of weight on my back and going to the full squat range of motion as deep as I can go, which isn't that deep, but you know, it's deep enough. That alone built up the muscles and then all the little ones next to it. Because when you have 315 pounds on your back, you can't be having the knee shakes.
No.
You can't do that.
And for me, I have a degenerative joint disease.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, so I'm very careful when I start to put up big weight.
Right.
But also I make sure that I hit supplements that really focus on getting stabilization to those joints.
Right. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
Just thanks for coming out, JW. We really love having you down here in Cincinnati.
Can't wait for you to hit me with the Mort House.
Yeah, it's going to be great.